Hey guys, and welcome to Under Construction. I've had a user request on how to do positioning and scaling on the screen so your game displays nicely across a wide variety of devices. So I'm going to show you how to do that today. Okay, so I've set up a simple project. This dude's name is Abram Appleton, and this is his portrait. Now, we've got a project size that is 640 by 960. I like this size or these dimensions because it's sort of like it's in between 16 by 9 and 4 by 3, which are the aspect ratios most commonly used. So on phones, this would be something like a 16 by 9. Some of the devices are getting longer now. They're sort of like an 18 by 9, so they're getting pretty long. And iPads are only like a 4 by 3, so they're more of almost a square, but not quite. That's more of a old TV, CRT TV aspect ratio. And so to display things nicely across a wide variety of devices can be quite difficult. Think of this part here as your safe zone, okay? So I'm just going to run this and you'll see that I've stretched the screen out before. So you see that here I can stretch the game up and down or side to side, and the game is always going to be positioned in the middle of the screen. And as you see, I've put a little effect, vignette effect, I think it's called, to blur or to darken out the sides where the background doesn't stretch. So this would be really useful for let's say puzzle games, etc., etc. In platformers, you can sort of create tiles that finish off the area, sort of like crusty tiles on the end that fade out into nothing. You know, you can do lots of stuff to make sure that your game sits nicely in the middle and doesn't look out of place on the edges. So for example, if you've got something like if you've got let's say a background, okay, you could just put in an island that rolls down the screen, and to the sides maybe you can just show sky, or you know, there are so many different things that you can do to fill up the rest of the space. Now realistically, no one's really going to be playing this game the game like this. I mean, they might, but it's kind of weird to be playing an HTML5 game in a window this size. Most likely it's going to be a full screen type thing like this, right? So how do I get out of here? Oh yeah, okay. Now this is a really useful thing if you are trying to basically show your games on devices, because the game is going to show exactly in the middle of the screen, and this game being portrait is just going to show a little bit more to the top, a little bit more to the bottom. Now the nice thing is though that if people flip the game sideways, you can still play the game that way if you don't want to restrict them to portrait resolution. However, because it is portrait resolution, the safe area is going to be in the middle of the screen like this. So there's going to be a lot on the side that's unusable. So you might want to think about possibly locking the landscape resolution out. Now, to achieve this is really simple. Basically, in your project, you need to make sure that you're using scale outer, which will always show more to the sides or top and bottom depending on how you stretch the screen. And the other option is in your layout, you need to make sure that unbounded scrolling is sticked. Otherwise your game will stick, okay, your little game area here will stick to the upper left side of the screen, and you don't want that in this case, okay? So I find this to be the most useful of all. Scale outer, unbounded scrolling, that way you can use little effects like shake screen, etc., okay? Now if you are wondering how I did these little effects, then this is just a tile background. So if you have a look inside here, that's all it is. I'm pretty sure it's a 48 by 48 pixel graphic, and then it's just stretched out, and I stretched it to about 1920 by 1920. Now that's more or less 3 times so it's 640 wide, so 3 times as wide as the game area itself. And to the top and bottom, you kind of don't need to worry about as much. I mean, I think that it's more likely that, let's say, you're playing. Most widescreen monitors are set up obviously in landscape mode, so more than likely, if people are playing your game full screen on a PC or a Mac or something, then if they play it in a browser, they will see more to the side, but they will still see a nice big playable area in the middle. Okay, you might choose to embed the game and then avoid these issues, but on devices this will work perfectly. The other thing I did here is also applied vignette effect at 30 and 50%, that's the end radius. Okay, and you can just play around with these settings. The further you make this, the further it will fade to black. The lower it is, the closer it will fade to black. So as you see, what's nice here is that the vignette effect changes and adjusts depending on whether I'm doing widescreen like this or if I'm doing portrait. So the effect itself adjusts to show perfectly in these cases, and it looks really nice. It sort of looks like an old school movie with the wallpaper in the background. So yeah, I think that's all there is to this project. I don't think there is any more to explain. If you guys have any questions, feel free to post them down in the comments and I'll try and answer. And yeah, as usual, the links will be in the in the description below, so you guys can download this file and to test the project out. And also, I think I might have forgotten to mention the user's name who asked me to do this. I think they've actually already figured out how this works, but in case it helps some other people out, I've done this project anyway. So his name is Mondier72, and I'm probably saying it completely wrong. I can't really do French. Mondier. I think it's something along those lines. Yeah. I can't do voices. Don't ever ask me to do any voice acting or any impersonations of anyone. I'm the most horrible voice actor in the world. That's somebody else's job. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you in the next Under Construction.